Yo yo yo, what up guys? Chris checking in with you today with a special tutorial this week. Due to me having a workshop last weekend, I've had to use my time sparingly, and so I've done 3 tutorials in one video. This is going to be unique in the fact that the tutorials are based on 3 different hobby products that we covered over my workshop, except for one which is brand new. So in this video I'm going to show you how we utilise those and how it helps me paint this Sicaran Venator tank. I started this tank today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was done and finished and photographed by 6 o'clock. There's a couple of bits I might go back and revisit, but the overall theme and tying it into my current force of world eaters is great, and I couldn't have done it without the help of the products we used today. I want to give a huge shout out to the people who came to my workshop last weekend. It was an amazing time, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was absolutely manic and I was run ragged and my throat was hoarse by the end of it, but it was a great time. Everyone did some great work, we had some great results, and I'm already looking forward to the next event, which should be in December. Thinking going to cover infantry during the heresy, but more on that later. Let's get to this video on how I painted this Sicaran Venator using 3 products, all of which are from AK Interactive. So let's crack a thumb. So here we are, here is my prime Sicaran Venator. I did make a start on this at my workshop, but had nowhere near enough time to finish it. So I basically just sprayed over the blue bits I did with some more white, and this is how it is going to go and get ready for today's tutorials. It's going to be a world eater, obviously, because they are the best and they are my chosen legion for heresy. There's various sub-assemblies that you can probably guess by all the missing bits. What we're going to look at first today is Worn Effects from AK Interactive. Second of all, we're going to use AK Panel Liner Dark Brown. We covered this at my workshop and everybody absolutely fell in love with it, and I can understand why. And we've got some AK pigments. This is City Dust, which we're going to do at the very end to do our tracks and some additional weathering. So these are the 3 products I'll be covering today in these tutorials, 3 for 3, let's go. AK Worn Effects, time for a confession. I've never used this before, this is the first time cracking it open. So, I did a little bit of research and found out it is there to replace the hairspray method, which a lot of people, if you don't know, you use to spray over a colour, you then airbrush over that colour, and the hairspray reactivates with water, which lets you chip away the colour to give a semi-realistic effect. So all I'm doing here is airbrushing a little bit of this Worn Effects over my white prime Sicaran, as it's requested me to do. I'm giving it plenty of time to dry. I gave it 2 light passes. I then sprayed on my 2 blues for my World Eaters. Now, it says you should only do this with 1 paint. I've done 2 because I'm going to see what happens. If this goes wrong, I've learned a lesson so you guys don't have to. But there's nothing we can't fix. I'm sure if anything does go wrong, I can amend it. I've also sprayed up these additional bits, which are the sub-assemblies that need to be blue. I've not done any Worn Effects on those because there's not going to be any white showing through on those. So let's see how this goes. So I need to wet the area and apply with a brush gently, and it should reactivate the Worn Effects and then come through. So in theory I should get a nice semi-realistic, inconsistently consistent scratching effect to show the white paint coming through. The brush was okay, I probably need a stiffer brush for this. I then started using my nail. If you want to do directional scratches, you can use a toothpick or the edge of your nail. And I played around with this a little bit, and I was worried about it was going to ruin what I've done so far, but at the end of the day, it's nothing we can't fix if it does go wrong. What I found worked okay was brushing and then, like I say, scratching with the nail. And I thought it looked okay. I could probably achieve this with a sponge with a lot less effort and fannying about. So from there, I tried to apply some masking tape and peel it on and off, and this was much more what I was looking for. So we get that really nice kind of worn away blue paint over the white prime of the tank. And this is a lot more what I was looking for. I could probably spend a bit more time on this and make it look a little bit nicer, but I decided I want to get this tank done today. So for AK Worn Effects, I will use it a bit more and see how it goes. I give it a 3 painted fingers out of 5. So we moved along a little bit now. We're next going on to our panel liner. So since our Worn Effects, I've varnished, I've done our transfers, I've applied my oil wash all over, I've done some rusting streaks with some oils and some rust effects from AK. And from there, the next bit is going to be to use our AK Dark Brown Panel Liner. Now, I absolutely adore this stuff. I think it's fantastic. I don't know if you're supposed to shake it, but I do because I love to give it a little rattle. So you use this to push depth in recesses. You can use it instead of oils or instead of enamels for just a really nice solid recess shading effect, but I find as well as gives you a really nice gradient of the oils and the enamels working together for then this to be the deepest, most filthy recessed colour. And as you can see, it's basically an oil wash with an applicator. You just touch where you want it to go, and it goes and flows beautifully over our gloss varnish. It will sometimes reactivate some of the enamels and the oils in there, but that's fine because it causes them to blend together. This is very, very foolproof. It's very, very safe. It's very, very satisfying. I showed this to the guys at my workshop last weekend and we were all just besotted by how amazing it is. You literally just touch the recesses and it goes, you touch the rivets and it goes, and you can use this to recess shade any detail with minimal effort, minimal precision, and it just pushes that depth to be that little bit nicer, to give it a little bit more of a rusted, worn battlefield effect. And yeah, I am an absolutely swear by godsend of this stuff. I've also got the black version, which is nice for more prominent colours if you're doing like a salamander tank or maybe a blood angel tank where the brown's not going to be quite dark enough. You can mix them, you can apply one over the other and cause them to melt together. If I had to tell you to get one of the products from this video today, it will be the panel liner. It's so good, I can't find anywhere with it in stock. Otherwise, I was going to pick some up for my guys at my workshop. But yeah, if you can find some, absolutely get it. And you can see just by me tickling these rivets, just boop, boop, boop. The days of pin lining with Agrat Surshade or acrylic washes are long behind you with this stuff. And you can already see the massive difference it's making on the half of the tank I've done to the half that I'm doing now. Minimal effort, minimal risk, maximum reward, 10 out of 10. This is probably one of the best hobby products I've picked up recently. Again, we do this over a gloss varnish. You can do this as well as oils and enamels or just by itself, but I'm doing it in combination with because I want to push the effect that it does. And as you can see, it's melded with the brown and the sienna oils I've done on there and giving us a really nice gradient of colour for the weathering we're doing on this tank. Takes a little bit of time to go over the whole thing, but certainly much quicker than using acrylic washes with a pin effect brush. But yeah, absolutely adore this stuff. You could also clean it up with white spirits as you can any oils. So once that's all done and dry, we're going to matte varnish this and crack on to the next bit. So here's where we are now. We're very nearly at the end with this tank. So we've gone over the first two products. We're coming up to the end now, which is going to be our weathering powders on the tracks. Overall, I'm really happy with how this tank's come along. Like I say, there's a couple of bits I might look at later on. But for the time being, I'm really, really happy with this. I've done a little bit of kind of selective blood splatter because world eaters, but you don't want to overdo it because it's a fucking tank, not a chainsaw or chain axe wielding maniac. I've upped my weathering with some dark umber and some burnt sienna just by sponging and attached all my sub-assemblies. I've done a heat effect, a heat bloom effect on my Venator's cannon. Overall, I'm really happy with how it's coming together, but we're just going to finish it off now with some weathering powders. So this is AK Pigments, this is City Dirt. I don't know why the labels rub the name off so quickly. All I'm doing, I save my spray can tops and I use them for this purpose, for mixing. So this is just tap water. I'm mixing in a little bit of this City Dust. I've always found weathering powders to be not elusive, but interesting because some people apply them and then use a fixer. Some people apply them and use spirits or IPA. Whenever I apply them neat and I put any kind of fixer on them, it ruins the whole effect and just takes all the powder away. Now apparently by doing this, it makes it more malleable and it sticks to the effect without the spirits and the alcohol just dissipating it and causing it to disappear. So I'm giving this a go so you guys don't have to. So again, I'm just upping the strength, I'm dabbing it on that little bit of track. I should probably do this on the back track where it's not going to be so noticeable if anything goes wrong, but I'm here now, let's commit. Now I should let it dry before I see how it finishes, but all I'm going to do is gradually add more and more and more. So I'd say there's probably 3 tablespoons of water in there. I didn't measure out the pigments, you just got to kind of keep adding more and more until you see how it's how the strength is for how you want it. These pigments will last an eternity unless you're silly with them, so don't be afraid to go in strong. Once you find out how you like it, you can then transport that over the whole of your force. I've chosen this colour because it matches the bases for my infantry for the army. It makes sense that the vehicles and the tanks will be rolling through these city streets, and if you've ever seen a tank in reenactments or in movies, the treads are always filthy and filled with dust and muck, so I want that to reflect and match the infantry of my army. So I've got this to a strength I think is okay now, so I'm just using a raggedy old brush and applying this all over the tracks, on the track housing. You can apply a little bit on the side skirts and on the rear, underside. And so that looks okay. It looks a little bit streaky, which I think is just the water breaking it down. But it's certainly more of what I was wanting to go for in terms of a fixed pigment on there. So you could do 2 layers of that and build it up, or just increase the strength of your initial wash. Play around and you'll see what works for you. It's very hard to get this wrong and make a mistake that you can't tidy up again. You can clean up these with white spirit or IPA or even pigment binder and fixer just to weaken it. And now what I'm doing is going in with the neat pigment, splashing it over in places just to build up a little bit more concentration, so that we get that really nice recess shaded wash where the dust has flowed into all those crevices of the tracks. And then this is going to top it off nicely and just kind of unify it all together. It's also going to mask some of that streaking from the water that we've done. So I'm just using an old dry brush, I'm stippling the sim where I want it. If you catch a bit wet still wet, it will streak. Let it dry, apply some more over it, you'll be fine. Now apparently at this stage, once this is all done, you're supposed to seal it or bind it with Fixer. I never use Fixer, I've tried it before, and all it does is ruin the entire effect of the pigments, so I don't seal at all, I'm leaving this as is. So all I did off video there was apply a little bit of Dark Earth pigment, which is another AK Interactive pigment, just to mix things up and tie it in with a little bit more interest for the terrain and the beast as my infantry walk on. And here he is. So the one effect on the blue at the front of the tanks caused us to chip away the blue and have the white showing underneath. We've had the AK Interactive dark brown panel liner, which has pushed our recess shades and given us a much more realistic worn look. And then our AK Interactive City Dust has dusted our treads and made them look really nice and semi-realistic. No shiny silver tracks here, even if it is a fantasy universe in the 41st millennium or 31st millennium technically. So there we go. Those are 3 hobby products I have shown you how to use in this video across 3 tutorials. If you've enjoyed them, leave a comment. If you're going to pick one up, let me know which one. Again, if I had to pick one out of all of these, it's going to be the panel liner. It is an absolute game changer and absolutely terrific for what I do. So if I've got to recommend one, get the panel liner. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a comment. Thank you very much for subscribing to my Patreon. You're all absolute superstars. If there's anything you'd like to see me cover in a future video, let me know, message, leave a comment. Otherwise, thank you very much. Keep kicking ass. Have a wicked week. Peace!